I'm going to tell you a true story. This is not a story of dramatic change from evil to good, but let me start by introducing myself. My name is Neil. I'm not a superstar, I'm not anyone famous, I'm just an ordinary guy with a big heart for people like you. I was blessed to grow up in a Christian family. Parents brought me to church every Sunday, took me to Sunday school, and took me to church groups during the week. And that was good for me. It grew me, it gave me a place to make friends. I remember very vividly, I was 8 or 9 years old, being in the back building of this church, just being on my knees crying in front of the cross after listening to the man who would become my youth pastor share the gospel with me. I remember that just so clearly, just kneeling before the cross, crying. On that day all those years ago, I said a prayer. If I'm really honest, I was just saying the prayer. I didn't fully get what it meant to me. I didn't understand the truth of it, the reality of it. But in that moment, I knew I meant it. It was good news and it made a difference, but I never understood it in my heart. It was all in my head. Going to church, learning about the Bible, what God says is true. Understanding it a bit, but never fully understanding it. I wasn't growing in faith. And part of the problem was that a large amount of my school life, I was bullied quite severely. And to my shame, I took that out on friends. And my friends suffered, but they stood by me. And one of those friends was Peter.
Well, he was quite a small person. Neil was fun as an 8-year-old. He was full of energy and enthusiasm. I mean, Neil has always been a bit of a nutcase, as he is to this day. Back then especially so. He was good. He was a good mate.
Yeah, Neil takes a lot of stuff in his stride. Obviously, it does affect him. He's got a strength to him, which I think comes from his faith to a significant extent. When something goes wrong, he's able to come back to God with that, and he'll link himself in with other people, and he's prepared to be vulnerable with others, and he'll be honest when things are just not going great, which I think is really good. I also see that in Neil, that he's someone who, when he's facing difficulties, that part of him which is always kind of concerned for other people first, it doesn't go away. When Neil's in tough circumstances, the first question he's asking, the first thing he's thinking about is the other people involved, and that's something which I think is really quite remarkable for part of his nature, which is to care and support others. He's consistent even when it's tested.
Neil, as a person, I would describe as being a really good friend, a carer, full of energy, full of enthusiasm. He's committed, he's determined, he's exuberant in the way that he lives his life, and he's good fun.
So while I was at school, I was still being bullied, but that didn't stop me from going to church. Going to church was almost the thing that kept me going, kept me pushing on. And I slowly grew and learned about the Bible, but just like playing the drums, it was all in my head. There was no heart behind it. So I was struggling to understand ideas like who the Holy Spirit is, what He does, how He works in us. And the Bible, though I was reading it almost every day, it wasn't an uplifting book. It wasn't a book of guidance that helped me live every day, that challenged me to grow. It was a cold, stale book with some good stories and some good advice in it, but that's about it. The truth is, I was missing out on so much. I was missing out on what God had to say to me through it. Bible verse that describes me so perfectly for that time is Revelation chapter 3, verse 16. This is what it says. But because you are warm, neither hot nor cold, I'm ready to spit you out of my mouth. A lukewarm Christian, which was described there, was what I was back then. When I was at school, I was just lukewarm. I wasn't cold and walking away from God, and I wasn't hot really walking towards Him. Yeah, I read the Bible. I helped out at stuff at church, but I wasn't following it. I wasn't living it heart and soul. Every bit of me wasn't in this. But thankfully, I came out of school and I had time to find out who I was, who God was. And I got taken to major festivals.
I went to Soul Survivor Summer Festival for the very first time, and that changed. It changed me. So I experienced God, the Holy Spirit, for the first time, and to be honest, it scared the daylights out of me. And God changed me, and I got a little bit of fire, a little bit of passion for God. Without feeling, I felt for a moment I had been light in me. For a moment I was hot, not lukewarm, making God want to follow me because of that horrible tasting, because of that horrible personality and character. But at least I was now reading the Bible and learning. So it was starting to seep through into my heart. God wasn't my strength yet.
The festivals I went for a number of years, and they were really good for me because they gave me a chance to have intimate time with God, to really get to know God, to be surrounded by people who were really passionate, who personally knew God. And it started to rub off on me. It started to have an effect on me, give me a chance to get to know God, to have intimate time with Him, face-to-face time with Him. And thankfully, God kept choosing to bring me close and give me chances to know Him. But even though a lot of the time I was surrounded by friends and crowds of people who were really in love with God, I was still incredibly alone. I still felt so lonely and isolated.
So the Bible verse, which I found was right, it was 1 Timothy chapter 6, and Paul is encouraging Timothy. And he says, "For you, Timothy, are a man of God." He says, "So run from these evil things." He says, "Pursue righteousness and godly life, along with faith, love, perseverance, and gentleness." As well, those are words which I would encourage Neil for his future, but I think they also really describe where he's been up to this point. I see him, so he pursues God and pursues life that's lived for him. It's a really amazing thing to see happen. Yeah, someone's found out.
The loneliness for me was always at its worst. Just after I'd come back from a major Christian event, I clearly remember one year when I went to South Slider, I had a personal, intimate encounter with God. A time where I was face to face with God. And in that moment, I felt God say that He wanted me to take a year out of life and to spend that year serving Him by doing children's and youth work.
The idea sounded great. As an intellectual idea, I loved it, but I was scared. So when I came back, I dragged my heels. I slowly looked into it. I got a bit of information. I looked at the idea of having a gap year. And then, in late 2006, early 2007, God really gave me a kick, going, come on, look for a gap year.
I was scared to do it because I knew one time gap year, I wouldn't just physically be going to a place where I'd be on my own. I'd be going into a place where I'd be on my own, so many other ways. 2 years of searching, 2 years of applying, doubting myself, and doubting that God had even called me to do this gap year. Finally, got to a point where I'd applied and had an interview with 2 different gap year groups. One called Message Trust, and another called 2020, and a program which was called the Extreme Team.
And I knew either way, I was going to be in a place where I was on my own, where I was away from my family, I was away from those I knew, and I'd be on my own the whole way. And when I got off the place, both of them with each other, and they both only gave me 1 week to make decisions whether I was going to go to Manchester or stay in Loughborough.
After seeing the sight that broke my heart, God made it obvious that He wanted me to stay here in Loughborough and do the Extreme Team.
When I started my gap year, I moved to Loughborough. I moved into a house I'd never lived in before, to a part of Loughborough I'd never been to. I moved church. I moved out of the church that I'd grown up in. I moved out of the church family that I'd known so well for so many years, that had loved me and nurtured me for years. I moved out of that into a new place where I didn't know people, to a place where I was on my own. When I was in that house I was living in on my own,
Intensified that loneliness deep within me that made me feel more alone than I had done before. The thing that broke me and hurt me the most was that loneliness, that sense of isolation. So I tried to fight it. I tried to fight with everything I had. I threw myself into the work I was doing in 2020. I threw myself into working out. I threw myself into everything and anything I could to try and fight that loneliness. But the only way, when I was alone in that house, I feel so alone. Like I was gripped, like I was held tight by loneliness.
it trapped me. It had me gripped. I couldn't get away. But I always felt like it because I wasn't letting God deal with that loneliness. It was deep within me. That loneliness that kept breaking my heart.
Within my first month, my team leader, Andrew Hulley, or as he was known, Roo, first time he worked with me, and I naturally thought that I'd done something wrong, that I'd offended him or someone in the church, I'd said or done something completely out of line, but it wasn't anything like that. He actually wanted to have a sit down and chat with me because he wanted to ask me had I been baptised in the Holy Spirit at that point. Now I knew what baptism was, but the idea of being baptised in the Holy Spirit was a somewhat alien idea to me. Even though I'd been to big festivals like Salt Survivor, I'd met with God personally, and I'd had that experience of God living in me for a little bit, but never really lasting.
But he wasn't asking had I had God live in me for a short while. He was asking if I knew what it was to have God, the Holy Spirit, live in me, to move into my heart, like he'd move into my house, and to stay there, to make it his home. And at that point I didn't know what I was, but God definitely had it in hand. Because that night, the church was doing an Encountering God evening with guest speakers.
While this guy was speaking, I sat there. To anyone who looked on, it looked as if I was completely clocked out. None of it was going in. People could have taken it as, I didn't even care what was going on. But it wasn't that at all. While this gent was speaking and sharing about what God had been doing, I was meeting with God, and the Holy Spirit was moving into my heart. And not just for like a quick hotel visit, He was moving in permanently.
After that night, I spoke with you again. I think I knew that God had filled me, God had baptised me in the Holy Spirit. At the end of that night, I was definitely not the same man that I was when I went in. At the start of that night, I was ruled by loneliness. I was ruled by isolation. At the end of the night, I was ruled by God. But I still had to fight with loneliness. Still had loneliness clawing at me. But I knew God was on the case. God chose that night, the Holy Spirit, to come and move into my heart permanently, to start living in me personally. I can't explain exactly how God's Holy Spirit comes and moves into your heart, makes your heart his home. But when it happens, there's something within you that just knows, that you know deep within you. The Holy Spirit has come, he's moved in. Your heart is now his home.
After that night, it was like God came to life overnight. The Bible was interesting, it was challenging, it was full of life-giving words. It gave me life every day. And it was like I'd suddenly learned what it is to really be in a relationship with God. And I started to learn how to really study the Bible, how to really read it, and not just go, oh yeah, that's a good story, but really understand what it's saying, how it speaks to me, what it has to say to me. My eyes were open to see God throughout the Bible, and my ears were open to hear God as I'd never heard this before.
And as the year moved on, I grew in my relationship with God. I learned what it was to hear his voice, to hear him speaking to me in so many different ways, through the Bible, through worship and prayer. And I wasn't just thinking and dreaming about this stuff. It was real. I really knew what it was to know God and be known by God, even though I still felt lonely at times. But I very clearly heard God say to me, he wanted me to use my life for his will. Part of his plan for me, his calling on my life, was to work with young people. But sadly, I was still desperately clinging on to my loneliness, as though I thought it was a good thing for me, even though it really, really wasn't. This calling that I felt God placed on my life,
it genuinely scared me. Not because it was something I didn't like or I didn't want, it was because it pushed me out of my comfort zone. And it made me feel even more alone than I ever had done before. But during the year, I learned that even when I don't really want to, even when I feel uncomfortable doing it, I need to follow what God was saying. So I did the right thing. I began to search for a place where I could fulfill this calling. I think it comes to my own arrogance, believed I was already ready to go into a full-time work. I was ready to lead straight away. And that really wasn't the case. Every time I applied to a youth club job, moved to some training centres, their response was almost always, we think you're a great guy, you've got a lot of passion for youth work and God, and we think you could really do it with further training and more experience. Every time, that response came back to me. Just like back to the heart, it's not looking back to me, it's so much more lonely. But it was more isolating. And God, very graciously, caused me to stumble across a group called South and Sweat. So apply there, initial training here, work and learn about God and youth work. It's obviously where God wanted me. Because from the application to finally place me, everything just went so smoothly. God had a faith test waiting for me.
to do this course with swim, I'd spent about £500, which doesn't sound like a lot, but to me at that time it was a fair debt, because I was living off savings, and I really didn't have 500 quid. I had about 225, 250 of quid that I put towards it straight away. The test was trusting God for the rest of it. I had to have faith in that point. I got to a week before the deadline for me to pay the full amount. I'd still only paid half, because I just didn't have the money. Then, suddenly, I don't know where it came from, or who it came from, more money than I needed came in. I was able to pay it. And not only paid the remaining balance I had for the course, but it was also enough to keep me going for a short while once I got down to Yeovil. I was still struggling with feeling isolated and on my own. That's part of the reason why God brought me down to Yeovil, to join the Urban Warriors team. And as I set out on this journey, I was setting out with all my internal defences up, with the big, happy, lively, bouncy facade of who I was on display for everyone, to hide the fact that I was scared. I was literally a scared little boy. I was scared of what was going to happen. So I was taking what seemed like an enormous leap of faith from me. And it was a case of, I felt so utterly out of control, but God was taking us on a journey of faith. One that would teach me so much. As soon as I got to Yeovil, I was taken away to do my induction and first training conference, where I'd meet everyone. I was brought into family. I was part of something bigger. And this was a huge and scary step for me. It meant I was stepping way outside my comfort zone, and something that was so scary. I was feeling so alone, so isolated. So to try and protect myself, I put on this really lively, friendly, bouncy character. It showed a bit of who I was, but it wasn't really me. I did that just so that I could try and feel a bit safe. So I wanted to tell them like I was alone. The goal was taking us on a journey of faith. And that induction conference, that's when it all started to change. As soon as the training conferences ended, I've been taught how the year was going to look. I came back to Yeovil to start serving the Urban Warriors team. As part of that, I met the small team that I was being part of. The guys I'd live with, I'd share my life with, I'd work with, I'd do almost everything with. One particular person who's a great blessing in that team is a lady who's good and dear friend, a lady called Katarina Reed. She taught me so much during the year that we lived and we worked together. She showed me that it was okay for me to feel lonely. It was okay that I didn't always have it all together. I didn't always have all the answers. I didn't have it all together. She showed me that, and she started to teach me how to be a real friend, to be someone who cares for their friend, and actually has people who are true friends, not superficial, passing friends. And someone who makes commitments and lasts, keeps going with people. I learned so much from her during that year. As that year went on, the loneliness I felt inside me started to dissipate because I was learning the way God had for me to fight it. And I thank God for Kat every day because she taught me so much. And yeah, I'm still scared. I'm still trying to deny God access to that part of me that felt so lonely. But because of the love, the friendship Kat and others showed me, I started to learn how to fight that loneliness, reduce the impact of that loneliness that I felt. And God taught me about fighting it that year. He blessed me so much in that year. Helped me move forward. And learning what it is to be in a relationship with friends helped me learn more about what it is to be in a relationship with God and what it is to find meaning and acceptance in relationship with God. After that year of learning about friendship, about relationship, about what it is to really be committed to people, after that year had finished, that year of such great growth and learning what it is to be known by God, I was still holding back. I was still trying to hide and keep that bit of loneliness in me. That part of the loneliness, I was trying to hide it away from God and keep it for myself. So God decided that He would keep me here to learn what it is to really know God personally, to have an intimate one-on-one relationship with Him, and let that flow out into the other relationships in my life. As I got to know God more intimately, that loneliness, it became weaker and weaker. Sadly, my time in Europe had to come to an end. As it came to an end, saying goodbye proved a lot harder than I thought it would. I knew that the next part of my journey, I had to do it on my own. I knew that it was time to walk away and move on to a new place. Instead of a new sense of loneliness, a new sense of fear within me that I tried to hide. God has something great. God did show that He had some grace for me, but He took me to love.
I am loved by God. I'm a Christian. When I'm asked this question, I can't help but think first and foremost of how much I know of God's love and how much more there is to know. How He's chosen me, He's changed my life. And there's a lot about me, like my name is Phil, I'm an Englishman, I'm a church leader, I'm involved in youth work, I'm a gardener. What things really begin with me is my relationship with Jesus. And He's just amazing and He loves me and that will never change. That's who I am.
I think Neil's remained quite similar all the time, in terms of especially his strengths of humility and kindness, his compassion, and we've gone through these years that I've seen that he has remained faithful and caring friend. What I've seen change is his skill sets, whether it's playing guitar or video work. He's persevered, practicing, he's persevered and trying, and his desire has seen him develop. So after years of hard work, so more confidence, more skilled, he's still the same caring.
I think like many of us guys, he'll want to retreat into his cave, he'll want to deal with stuff alone, like he'll pray and he'll see God's face, and we've got that manly thing where we just like, I don't need your help, you know, like we wanted to sort it out with God ourselves. But then Neil is like really intentional about sending a text message out or a Facebook message going, hey, this is going on. I'm sure his grandma passed away and he was updating a lot of us about that and kind of asking for prayer. And it's kind of cool that he's like open and he's regularly like honest about his failings and his flaws. He's not afraid to reach out and make himself vulnerable, which takes a lot of strength. It takes a lot of boldness. I'm friends with Neil because it's worthwhile. He's been in my life since we served together and did mission work together. I found to be a nice guy, a friendly guy, a caring guy, a kind guy. Yeah, since we've lived together, and I've always been like a little brother and tried to watch out for him and help him when I can. You can see the Lord's love reflected in him and his actions, and it's worthwhile. He's a genuine, caring, faithful friend. It's worthwhile being friends with Neil.
A period of time when I was fighting it, I was finding it hard to fight it. It was coming time for me to move on to a new thing. I didn't know what that new thing was.
And that was hard because I was in a position where I didn't know.
Okay, so let me be very clear. I've spoken about being lonely, but I'm not saying that time alone is a bad thing, not by any stretch of the imagination. Time on your own is important. It's valuable because that time that we take for ourselves, that we need for ourselves, gives us the ability to process events that happen in the day, the week, the month. It gives us time to reflect and make sense of it. Jesus shows us that time alone is a good thing. You regularly go and spend time away from the crowds. Being alone is okay, but being lonely is very, very dangerous. My loneliness was caused by me not living in right relationship with God. It's caused by not living how I was made to live by God. He made us to be in relationship with Him and with each other. But our selfishness, our pride, causes us to fight against the love and the acceptance God shows us.
And by doing that, I fell into sin. And sadly, because of our sins, because of our mistakes, our mess ups, rejecting God, we're gonna die. So my loneliness was caused by me not living in right relationship with God and with other people. It was me rejecting God, rejecting love from other people. And that rejection of God and of other people is called sin. I'm not going to glorify it, I'm not going to make it bigger than it is. Rejecting God and living against Him is sin. There's no pretty way to put it.
Because of our own selfishness, our own pride, we keep choosing to reject God, keep pushing Him back, pushing Him away. And that sin ultimately is going to cause us, and does cause us, to end up dead.
To me, the breakdown of relationships caused my loneliness. It made me feel alone, as I've mentioned previously. And as I've also mentioned, I tried to fight it by dating women. And especially for me, that was me trying to put a plaster on a gaping wound, a broken relationship with other people, but more importantly with God.
I thought I had everything I needed. I thought I had everything that I really wanted at that time. In so many ways I was like Elvis Presley. One day when he was sick, his manager came out to visit to check he was alright. The manager found Elvis sat at the piano, playing Be Thou My Vision piano. And Elvis told his manager, even though I've got gold-plated phones, limos with gold fridges in, I've got enormous houses, all this stuff,
I've got nothing. Let me repeat that. He said, I've got nothing because I don't have God. What an incredible statement for, at that time, a rock icon to say. He's got nothing because he's not got God. And that's where we stand. Don't worry, because things get better. God saw how hurt and broken I was, and how hurt and broken you are. You might be saying, oh, I'm not hurt and broken, I'm fine.
Truth is, deep down, you know that you're hurt and broken. But God had a plan. He sent Jesus, who lived on earth, who lived, honestly, reasonably normal life for most of it.
We sent Jesus so that we could really get to know Him, so we could personally get to know God. And I don't know about you, that's pretty flipping good news. You know, God has made it possible for us to know Him like you know your brother or your sister, your mother, your father, your friend. God making it possible for us to know Him, that's flipping good news.
Yet Jesus suffered the loneliness I felt, even worse. And when He died on the front, He felt that loneliness so much more prolific, so more intensely than I ever did. When He died on the cross, and He died in a brutal way.
Having had all His friends, not just some, every single one of His friends, abandon Him, do a runner, leave Him to die. But God had a perfect plan, ready for that moment that He announced hundreds of years before through a man named Jeremiah, when He said, but the Lord is with me, mighty and awesome. Therefore, my persecutors will stumble and will not prevail. They will be greatly ashamed, for they will not prosper. Their everlasting confusion will never be forgotten.
That talks of Jesus dying, men and women who did murder Him. At that point they thought they won. They thought they beat God. As it says there, in that passage, God already had it in hand. He already had a plan ready to show how feeble they are and how little they really. This was and is true of Jesus, because God brought Jesus back to life after His death. So remember, Jesus was dead. He was 100% dead. There was no way there was life still in Him. And then God brought Him back to life. Those who killed Him, those who murdered Him, have been left utterly bewildered trying to work out, how did God do it? How did He bring His one and only Son back to life? And because God did that, because His Son Jesus lived, died, rose again, it made it possible for you and me to know God personally, to have an intimate, deep relationship with God. Now, let me be very clear about this. The decision to follow Christ, to get to know Him personally, is an all or nothing decision. You can't sit on the fence, you can't be in between. You're either for God or you are not with God. You can't be in the middle. You can't be, yeah, I like Him, but no, I want to do my thing. No, you choose to live for God or for yourself. And as you keep this in mind, and keep thinking about this, as I share how the gospel has changed my life, how it's impacted me in recent years, how it's caused my life to change. And if, at the end of that, you believe you're in the right place, and you feel that it's right, I will share with you a prayer of faith, one that you can say to give your life to God.
September 2012, I moved back here to London. I moved back with the hope that I wouldn't be here for too long. I wouldn't be here for long. Because if all the time people have come, I moved on coming out. But unfortunately, that wasn't God's plan for me. Because everything seemed to start to get out. My granddad was taken to hospital with heart problems.
Shortly after my granddad improved, he was discharged from hospital. A close family friend sadly passed away. He passed away after battling cancer for quite a long time. That was only a small part of the story, a small part of a very long and blessed life. But his passing hurts. It was a big loss for me and my family. As much as I wished that was the end of my trials and hardship, unfortunately, it was just the first set of trials I had to walk through. My gran was taken into hospital with some serious illnesses. It was hard for her. My sisters and my mother struggled to cope with this. They leaned heavily on my father and I. That pushed me more into isolation, pushed me away from people more, made me try to be strong for myself. So I was having to be strong for other people, and I was doing it with my strength. I wasn't really doing it with God's. Losing her brother, too surprisingly, this broke my mother's heart. It was just the final straw for her. Being positive in our family at that time was hard. It also helped them manage it, helped my mum deal with the pain of losing her brother, having them lean on me and rely on me, to be strong for them, to push them forward in their faith. It told heavy on me. It wore me down, and it made me feel more alone and isolated than I had done. And at times it almost felt like I was doing that at the expense of my own relationship with God. I felt like I was on my own in a dark room. There was no one there to help me out. Everyone that was strong, that pushed me forward in my faith for the last few years, was living at least 100 miles away. Just that sense of loneliness got a real hold of me. It was holding on to me so strong at that point. It was almost like I was going to be alone longer than I could bear.
Shortly after my uncle passed, God challenged me to look for a home church. Because deep down inside me, I'd known for a while. Church I grew up in, it was not my home church anymore. It was not where I was meant to be. While I'd been there, my relationship with God had moved backwards, not forwards. I hadn't grown. God challenged me to look for a home church. God was still very good to me during this time. After he challenged me to look for a new home church, he took me to a number of different churches. We had to spend time with God's people who were spirit-filled worshippers, just get a chance to be God's people. But eventually, very graciously, God led me to New Springs Church for the first time. After the first few times of visiting New Springs Church, I quickly found this was a church that I felt at home in, that accepted and loved by. Not only that, I could love and serve. I'd be loved by them. This was big, because I meant that I wasn't alone. I had no way of being truly alone. The church family at New Springs have been such a blessing to me. They've kick-started my spiritual growth. They got me moved forward in God again. They got me. He's the one I run to when I need help. I'm not the source of strength. He is. And that's brought me such freedom. Brought me freedom in a place where I love. But I'm accepted for who I am. So reassuring. That there's men and women who are praying for me, who care about how I grow. And this was displayed so evident when May 2014, when Gran passed away. This was after constant time getting in hospital, getting worse and worse. That's what the church really does. They look after each other, care about each other. That's so important for you. It told me that I can be myself. I'm accepted for who I am.
I'm Pastor David Holmes. I'm one of the ministers here at New Springs Church in Loughborough. He's a man of integrity, he's caring, he's faithful, he's a servant. I guess loving.
The Bible verse that comes to mind when I think about Neil is from Philippians 3, where Paul talks about forgetting what lies behind, but pressing on to what lays ahead, taking hold of that for which God's laying hold of. Why? Because I think he's passionate about living for God, passionate about serving God. Yeah, things might have happened in the past, but he's focused very much on his future.
With my gran passing, it caused me and my family pain. Yes, it broke my heart. That voice that kept telling me I'm alone, I'm isolated, I've got nothing. That voice still tries to speak to me every day. Still tries to get the better of me every day. Most days, because of what God has done in me, that voice doesn't get the better of me now. Most days, it's silence of God's word. One particular verse in Psalm 28, this is what it says. The Lord is my strength and my shield. My heart trusts in him, and I am helped. Therefore my heart exalts, and with my song I shall praise him. Through God's strength, I'm confident, I'm happy, I'm at peace within myself, because I've met God, because I know God, because God's strength is in me, because my heart lifts God up every day, because my song is a song of thanksgiving. I praise God because he's changed my life. His word speaks into me, gives me the strength I need to fight each day. I know that it's been hard for some of you to watch this and hear what I've been through. Don't be discouraged. I invite you to explore more, to find out more about God's word and what he's saying. I want to give you the chance to say yes to God, to say yes and mean it, and let it change your life. If you don't say this prayer, don't worry about it. If you don't mean this prayer, there's no point in you saying it right now. But if you want to say prayer, mean it, and really give your life to God, I invite you to pray with me. Say this prayer. Dear Lord, I know I've done wrong things. I've sinned against you. I don't want to live at odds with you anymore. I don't want to be near enough your enemy anymore, God. I'm sorry for the mistakes I've made. I ask that you'd forgive me. Bring me into your family. Turn away from all the things I've done. I choose to turn to you. Thank you, Lord, that you forgive me. Please come fill me with your spirit. Show me how to live for you. In your name I pray. Amen. If you said this prayer, meant it, I'd love to hear from you. Churches up and down this country that love to hear from you. If you're still not sure, get in touch with these churches. I'm sure they can answer a lot more questions than I have touched on in this short film. First of all, I'd like to thank you for just taking the time to sit, watch, and listen to what I have to say. God bless.